solstice stir you deep within and assist you in your awakening. Today's lecture has to do with us. It has to do with everything that we have acquired, assimilated, and in the process then made choices on what our lives are to be. So, what have we learned? And I'm saying this to you from many different perspectives. And I'm asking also for your participation in this. I'll start you out with a very simple, straightforward connection, and that is, we've all learned that this moment now is all we have. We may fill it with a number of things, but it's still all we have. We can fill it with the past by going in reflection. We can jump into the future and consider possibilities, but right now is all we have. And you look at that, and then I bring it to the next consideration, and that is, we've learned that we have choice. We may have misunderstood or mistaken that to think that this was something to be given to us by others, or that it was a matter of fate as to the determining factor as to choice. But look again and see. What do you have? You have now, and you have choice of now. So with now and choice of now, what have you learned? Bring to me, tell me, speak your voice.
Gratitude. Gratitude.
Gratitude. How many of you learned gratitude? Yes? Or is gratitude still a teacher of yours? Still my teacher. I'm still learning gratitude, when to apply it, when to listen to it, when to engage in it. Yes, gratitude.
Learning about non-judgment.
Excuse me?
Non-judgment.
Non-judgment. Oh. Have you learned that?
Still learning.
That's really still a big teacher for me right now. Because I find myself getting caught up in expressing my choice, and often the conflict that shows itself up in that is, I'm judging. And if I listen, and listen carefully, I can hear the voice of non-judgment speak and say, chill, relax, take it easy. You don't know why that other person is making the choices that they're making. But sometimes, even with that, you come to saying, you know, I've just got to speak my voice. I've just got to say what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking. Does that always work out favorably? But I'll tell you one thing. Even if there is resistance to you speaking your truth, people will know where you stand. And you will find from that a sense of respect or a release from the relationship will occur. And these are things that you learn by doing. If you can't speak your truth, then you're not being true to yourself. Is that something that we learn by doing? Yes. You better believe it is. Do we learn by not doing? You better believe we learn by not doing. Pain? Pain is a great teacher. As a matter of fact, I've often heard from Spirit that pain is one of the most important teachers you'll have in your life. Because eventually, it will get your attention, and you'll stop blaming, and you'll come to say, is there a message for me? Pain's trying to get my attention about something? Is it really not my enemy? Is it a messenger trying to show me that there's something amiss? Okay, so sometimes pain is come to show itself as really a blessing in disguise. But it's one of those blessings that you say, all right already. Enough is enough. And you'll notice that when you have learned your lesson, the pain begins to subside. It begins to go away. What can that lesson be? Take care of yourself. Stop fighting yourself. And stop being afraid of fear. Look fear in the eye. Because if you don't look it in the eye, you'll never overcome it. It will always be there to haunt you and to trouble you. So, I'm listening. Yes.
I've learned value and that there's really nothing wrong with me.
There's nothing really wrong?
Right. There's nothing wrong with my value.
There's nothing wrong with your values. Okay, right.
There's,
Yes.
I
To-
have value.
Yes, you have values. They're a good thing to have.
Yes.
They help reveal you to yourself and help you interact with life.
Yes.
Because it's by your values that you're generating certain energies that are then going to be the attracting force that will bring to you others who are of a similar value or a conflicting value. Yes, sir?
Giving and helping others.
Giving
And helping
and
others.
helping others. All right. This is something that I think in our society today, it's a real challenge. Because of the way that we're being programmed, we only are programmed to give to receive. So we have get as a motive to give. When eventually we are taught or we learn that giving really does something to us inwardly. It causes us to shape shift, so to speak, to where we become more in harmony and aligned with our true nature, and we feel really good about giving. We were out this morning for an early walk, and we saw someone sitting on a bench, and I thought, this early in the morning, sun wasn't even up, it was cold, perhaps this person needed help. So I was all set, prepared to give whatever I needed to give, and I simply went up and I said, "Are you all right?" And she spoke to me and she said, "As a matter of fact, I'm really good." And I thought, okay. Instead of me having to give, I received, because that was an uplifting exchange that I experienced. And you know, you look at that and you see, you can't really change anybody else. But what you can do is you can put yourself out there and by example, stimulate them on some level and in some way that perhaps if they want to, they'll begin to change themselves. I remember when I first got into this work 50 years ago, I thought I was going to change everybody. Well, part of that was because I wanted to run away from me. So part of that was a realization, everywhere I went, me followed. Couldn't do it. And at the same time, I began to realize, I'm not going to change others. Others are going to change because they want to, because they see something valuable in themselves that stimulates them to make changes. So, what about you? What about you? What do you have to offer as far as what you've learned? Remember, this is being broadcast to thousands of other people. Consider.
Accepting what is in the moment. Accepting what is.
Accepting what is, yes. Accepting what is in the moment. Okay. So, is acceptance one of your teachers right now?
Yes.
Damn sure is for me. Big time teacher. And possessions. I'll just use possessions as an example. Possessions can't possess you. Okay? I mean, we apparently are of a pretty prosperous group here today. But I bet you that you have a lot of things that you really don't need. But yet they weigh you down. Can you right now say, okay, I'm out of here, and not have anything to worry about? Oh no, I can't do that. I've got too many possessions. I've got to take care of this. I've got to take care of that. I have a truck that has become my baby. I've had it for, 1996, 22 years. I went up to the ranch this weekend, not even thinking about it. Somebody else drove my truck up, parked it underneath a tree. I walked up later on, and there was this great big oak tree laying down on top of my truck. And a part of me went, my baby! Only to then have the remembrance of what I have learned about possessions begin to settle in me and help me to realize, hey, all is well. Everything that you have, every possession that you have, Clark, is someday going to be taken from you. And if it happens a piece at a time, then that's the way it happens. If it happens all at once, plus the realization of how blessed are we. I thought about, okay, we've just recently gone through a series of fires where people have lost their homes, they've lost their pets, they've lost their loved ones, they've lost their lives. A smashed little Dodge truck is okay. I can live with that. In that, every one of us has this operating in our lives, and it's a big lesson for us to learn, and that has a very 3-letter combination that reveals itself as ego. How many of you are learning about ego? Yeah. Isn't that a great thing to learn? Yeah, it's a great thing to learn. Is it an easy thing to learn? No, and why? Ego doesn't want to be exposed. It doesn't want to be revealed. But it's something that really helps you live your life when you can recognize the voice of egos speaking inside of you, pretending to be a voice of authority, when if you look closely, you realize it's a distraction. It's really taking me away from perhaps simplicity, which is another thing you learn. Or perhaps it's taking you away from a deeper realization of choosing to go within, choosing to become silent, choosing to become still, and perhaps becoming more aware of who you truly are instead of listening to that screaming voice that pretends to know everything. Yes?
Instead of reacting, responding with compassion.
Okay, instead of reacting, respond with compassion. Can you do that when somebody is calling you a liar?
No.
Challenging, but what does it do? It helps you to come to a place of greater mastery. So, instead of reacting, you respond. And you make your response a choice of compassion. Okay, good, yes.
Releases the victim.
Release the victim? How many of you are familiar with a victim? That's those people out there. Well, you come to realize it's a game. And it's a role that you play in the game. But you so believe that you are a victim that you play it from that perspective, and that rules your whole entire life until you learn that that's a lie. And it's a designed lie to trap you, to keep you from discovering who you really are. That's a big one to learn, isn't it, Marianne? A really big one to learn. And change, have we touched upon change yet? Not yet? No. Why bother? It's going to change anyhow, right? See, that's one of the things that you come to learn. Change is. And if you begin to see it as an operative also, then you begin to look and see change starts within. So it's a good thing to embrace change from a within perspective, so that then you have, it's like you put on the glasses of change, and you're able to see it occurring all the time. Instead of looking for same, you realize, my God, so far as this life is concerned, change is the operative, not same. So it's a good thing to learn, a good thing to have up and running. And by the way, you might die any moment. This is a fun one to face, isn't it? But see, when you come here, you're given the opportunity to hear me say on a regular basis, you're gonna die. I'm always here to remind you, you're gonna die. As a matter of fact, you might be dead already and don't realize it. Instead of being afraid of it, recognize it's a part of life everywhere all the time. And it is a definite experience you will have. I haven't heard lately of any translations. Have you? Do you know what I'm even talking about? Okay, well, we'll pass that one by. We haven't learned that one yet. Okay, so good. Anybody else?
Joy. Joy.
You've learned joy?
I'm learning joy.
You're learning joy. How many of the rest of you are?
Yeah.
Yes. I must confess, Jonathan, that joy often slips me or I miss joy.
I understand.
You know?
Yeah.
I can get to a place of being at ease. I can be open and receptive. I can be thankful, grateful. But then to say that I can experience joy, I haven't quite managed to lift myself up to where that is a constant in my life. But when I experience it, isn't it marvelous? It is. It's like a gift that we're given when we experience joy. Now perhaps this season can stir us all because of the joyful beings that are in the atmosphere, encouraging us joy to the world, and rejoice in that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Someone else.
Forgiveness.
I'm sorry?
The power of forgiveness.
The power of forgiveness?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Have you learned that, William?
I had an experience when my
Yes, you're getting that opportunity with those who have passed on, right?
Yes.
Right. You know, sometimes that's the only way it works. It's not until somebody croaks that we're able to let go and forgive them. Imagine if we recognized that power and we chose to live it now. So that, like someone who came before us 2,000 years ago and lived that by saying, I forgive you, and meant it. What a true liberation that is. What a true liberation. So, trust yourself. Okay. There was such an underwhelming response on that
No.
one. I see.
That's huge to trust. It's not. It's
We're
not
doing
just
it, aren't we?
trusting myself, it's trusting
Really?
God.
Really? And do you want to try this one out too? Have you learned to use your words wisely? If you talk a lot, that's a challenge. If you don't, it's a little easier. A little easier. And what about knowing everything? Is it okay that you don't know everything?
Yes.
It really is. Can you learn that and, embrace that? And then come to the place of saying, it's all right that I don't know everything, but I am here to do one thing in particular, and that is learn. My whole journey is about learning. Are the best things in life free?
Yes.
Haven't there been those who have said that? Have you ever tried that out? Have you ever tried to get a free breath of air without inhaling? Just checking. How about an embrace from another without embracing? So what I'm pointing out here is that it's a relative thing, this notion of free. You don't have to pay any money for it, but you still have to engage in it in order to experience it. So, whether it's a breath of air, it's a conversation with a good friend, it's an embrace, or to behold the love that another has for you and to rejoice in it. So one of the last things I want to get to here is money. See, we're about to take up an offering, so. Your relationship to money reveals a lot of things about you, but it also reveals the intention behind money. Because you see, the way money is used right now, it is not a neutral enemy. It's creating an artificial scarcity, which results in competition, inequality, poverty, greed, and violence. So the way money is being used and the way it is being seeded, it's a very negative force in our world. But don't take my word for it. Go to yourself and look at the relationship that you have with money and see if you can't learn a better relationship to where you see money as an ally that serves you according to your attending awareness. So then now we'll go to Fox News. Today. And I said that deliberately because don't trust mainstream media. Big media companies are owned by people whose main intention is to emotionally manipulate you in order to keep you hypnotized, sell you lies, empty your pockets, and keep you under control. These are things that we're learning. They cross a spectrum of many different aspects of our lives. Good for us that we are learning to be more discerning. Good for us that we are applying our discernment and choosing to improve our relationship to ourselves, to each other, and to all of life. Thank you for your participation, and thank you for your involvement.
For more information about the Metaphysical Church of Enlightenment or the Rodin Foundation, please go to our website at www.rodin.org. If you have been inspired by the revelations shared in these podcasts, please donate to the Rodin Foundation's ongoing efforts to help others help themselves at www.rodin.org/donate.